Welcome to High and Low.
High and low. Oh, yeah, that's right. You want to change?
No, I do not.
No, that's right. You're the ombudsman. Totally useless. But anyway.
Totally. I thought we were down to 70% at one point.
70% useless.
Well, 70% useless is 30% useful, I hope.
Listen. I've been to Media Anonymous.
Okay. Is this a support group for people trying to quit blogging?
No, it's a group that's supposed to say, no, we're not going to get involved in news, not watching the news. Oh, by the way.
Oh, they're trying to quit consuming media.
And once I found out that you were coming up with your annual report.
This isn't an annual report.
Huh?
This isn't an annual report.
Oh, it's not?
It's a special report.
Oh, we're special.
Well, no. An annual report is like what we did last year. Here's all the cases we had.
No, it's not.
No,
See.
Yeah.
This is brand new because you know what? I never read one story. Next thing you know, all the media on Twitter and Facebook are talking about the ombudsman. And then I said, oh, that's again. So what I did, I never listened to CBC. I get emails saying, oh my God, you should listen to CBC Information Morning. It's very good. And everybody was, Steve Murphy.
Yes, yeah, I was on Steve last night.
I never watched the TV. I taped it. Bottom line of this long-winded thing, I never watched no media for 24 hours.
Good for you. How's it feel? Are you like coming off caffeine?
But I wanted to be this as fresh as it can.
Fair enough.
And it is fresh because it was, what do you call it?
Failure to protect.
Failure, here, show me that.
Yeah.
Failure to protect. I'm supposed this is the provincial jails?
This is the Restigouche Hostipal Centre, which is the psychiatric hospital in Campbellton.
And I'm sure in there also, there's the provincial jail that they force people with mental illness to walk home.
This is just about that one institution. We didn't do a review of the entire system. We just looked at that one institution.
How long this took you?
About a year and a half.
Year and a half.
Yeah.
How many people work on this?
Pretty much the whole team.
Is it important?
I don't know if the report's important.
Can I keep this?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
I don't know if the report's important. I think it's important for the people of New Brunswick and for the MLAs to understand how we're treating the patients in that facility and do something about it. If the report does that, then great. If the report doesn't do that, then the report's not important.
But this is, you're the ombudsman. This is just a recommendation.
That's right. We just, well.
News conference for 15 minutes and then the media, the ministers talk and then.
That's absolutely the risk. The absolute risk is that 2 weeks from now, some other story will be the story, and people will have forgotten about this, and the measures that should be taken won't be taken. But we have told them in this thing that we expect a report back from government 90 days from now about what they've done.
90 days? Oh,
90 days.
They don't have to listen to you. You're just the ombudsman.
No, they don't.
Huh.
So, but that's this is the kind of pressure we can put on them, and we hope that that'll.
Okay.
Spur them to action.
What brought the Restigouche Centre to your attention?
Started with an anonymous letter in May of 2017, and usually we do get some anonymous letters. Usually, anonymous letter, there's not much you can do with it.
No.
In this particular case, there was enough information in it that it gave us the reason to believe that either this person works there, or they have worked there, or they know of people that work there. There were things in it you could check out, as opposed to just this is happening, this is happening. It was like, on this time, this happened. So we started in what we call our inquiry. We're in an investigation. We're asking some questions. And the more and more we asked, the more and more it checked out. And so the worse and worse it looked. And at a certain point, they came back to us with a lot of information saying, yeah, we recognize there's problems. We got a plan. We're working on the problem. And we're like, okay, well, if you're working on the problem, we'll give you time. We're not. But in May of last year, we got another complaint on a very serious incident, and we asked for, at that point, we said, okay, give us everything. We want to see all the documents. And within a few days of seeing the documents, it came in and we divided it up, right? Because it's so much material. We say, well, you take this, you take this, you take this. And within a day or two of reviewing the documents, everybody that was looking at it was saying, oh no, the problem here is really serious. We have to expose this. It's got to be brought to light. So we really went from asking some questions and going, well, let's check this out, to
Open a can of worms.
Yeah, it just got worse and worse.
And how many people are there? Full time. I mean, how many people are Charles LeBlanc 30 days, so Charles LeBlanc 90 days?
Well,
how many are there for life? Is
the whole facility, when it's full and has everybody open, it's 140 beds. They've closed down 2 units. One they closed down earlier last year. One they closed down just in November.
Why?
They can't staff them. And I think the November one, I think they knew our report was coming, so they needed to have some answers. But there's a 60-bed section, which is specifically for people who are being assessed to see if they're fit to stand trial or if they're not criminally responsible. There's a specific unit for those people. But I don't know what the patient population is of today, but my guess is it's a bit under 100.
100.
Yeah.
A person that's autistic and the
Yes.
parents don't want them severe autistic, do they go there?
That is one of the populations which would be served by that institution if their needs were high enough. Right. This is a tertiary care.
What's autistic that you have to be there?
Well,
I mean, come on.
Many people have a level of autism which causes them some complications in their lives, but they can be, they can live independently and they can make decisions for themselves. If you were in the Centre Hospitalier Restigouche, it's because your condition is so severe that you present a danger to yourself or to others possibly. You just can't care for yourself.
How many is there?
I don't know the exact numbers of that. That unit ideally would take 20, but they never really built an autism unit there.
Got to be more than 20 person that can't.
Oh, I'm sure there are. But
I see somebody, it's on the way, Rogersville, and I see this guy about 50 years old, the side of the road, and I thought there was a fire.
Right.
And then I stopped, and then the parents, old parents inside the house.
Right.
It's just a guy, that's what
Yeah.
he does. Once the parents are gone,
Right. That's a real crisis coming for us.
yeah, so what are we going to do about it? So this thing here, does that talk about it?
Not about that specific problem. I mean, that's a problem for an entire
What's wrong
network.
with you? You're going to talk to me before you did this? Good. I'm just an email away here.
I had this,
Don't you love these house things
This is
here?
great. This is great.
Yeah, this is great.
Well,
no editing too. Go ahead.
That's super. We were so busy with our other files, we had to sort of steal time to work on this. But basically, our situation here was we wanted to report to the legislature and to the people how patients are being treated inside this institution. Now, there's a bigger question which you're raising, which is a completely valid question, which is, don't we need an entire network of support in community and and for families to deal with people with mental illnesses such that they can't care for themselves? And the answer to that is absolutely yes. Restigouche was supposed to be the place where the people in most urgent need, the most vulnerable, receive treatment and care. In fact, to help them, ideally, we'll build a care plan for you as a patient to help get you to a more independent state. But it's just failing to do that.
So, what did you say that really got the media attention, or should I say? You've been having a lot of interviews across the country.
The last little while, there's been a lot of attention.
The last 24 hours.
There's been a lot of attention on this.
So what's the main concern? I never read this, so I don't know. Like I said, I don't know nothing. I never listened. How did Steve Murphy do? Did he do it?
Well, I don't know. I guess that's for you to answer. I felt like he asked the right questions.
He always does.
He's very good at his job,
Oh
obviously.
yeah. So did you do a good job with Steve?
Look, I wouldn't want to self-critique. I'm always nervous when I do media interviews, and I always find them stressful.
You nervous?
Yeah.
Should be more relaxed like this, But here you talk. There
Right.
You got the mic.
No, exactly.
And
it's
you
a
see a
totally
camera.
different. Exactly. It's a
And
totally
then
different
here,
situation.
there's 10 people listen to this.
Right.
We did pretty good the last time.
Did we?
We got really good.
Did you highlight it that your blogger talks about using drugs, or did you talk?
No, I did.
Well, if you did that, that's the reason.
I did.
That's the reason.
Got about 400 or 500
That's how you
views.
get people. It's what they call that. What do they call it? Clickbait. Clickbait headline. That's
I'm
how
sorry.
you get, yeah.
See, speaking of mental illness, we're jumping again.
Yeah, sorry.
That's why I don't know. It's me. No. But what's the main goal? What's the main question that Steve Murphy asked you, or the media? They were concerned with your report.
Steve Murphy was asking if maybe it was a mistake to put it there. That maybe put the hospital in Campbellton.
Why?
Because one of the key things that we find has been very difficult. They have not been able to recruit and retain clinical expertise.
Well, that's a good question. Because who the hell wants to live in Campbellton?
Well,
I mean, it's a beautiful place.
yeah.
And Sugarloaf, I'm
Right.
going to try to climb it
Right.
next summer.
Yeah.
Beautiful place, but the economy is not too good there.
You have to put it in a context that
And
first
cheap beer
well,
across the board.
there
right?
you go.
Okay, go
You have
ahead.
to put in a context that first of all, it's hard to recruit these clinical psychiatrists anywhere. You could any place would have trouble recruiting them, right? These are highly specialized individuals, so it may not have succeeded no matter where we placed it. But by placing it in a population, a small population base, I think we were stacking the deck a bit against recruiting successfully. Because if you're a top qualified clinician, you may not wish to live in a community of 6,800 people. You might want to be in a big city and have access to, I don't know, universities and culture and all those sort of things. Which, of course, Campbellton has all the charm of a town, a smaller town. It's New Brunswick, right? But that's when you're asking for people to come in from outside, they may not recognize those advantages right off the bat. It may be hard to recruit. And they tried very hard to recruit.
And that's a good point, and unfortunately, that would be the end of Campbellton. That would take a big blow to Campbellton if they moved to Fredericton.
Well, one of the things that I suggested in the report is they've got this fantastic building there.
I just seen it, yeah.
They should be able to use those units for something else and keep some jobs. Because let's say you turn part of it into a assisted living for seniors. Now you don't need psychiatric nurses, right? You don't need people with specialized psychiatric training. Now you need a different pool of workers, and you can maybe provide jobs for the community there. But at the end of the day, you have to ask what's more important. Is it more important to create jobs in a community, or is it more important to care for the patients?
I take care for the patients.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. Is it QP there?
Yes, and there are tensions between the union and the management there. That's part of the issue.
There's a tension?
For sure.
What kind of tension?
Well, they had a management change, and they also had a change in culture. So a number of
Change
people.
of culture, what's that?
We started. Well, there's always been an institution there, right? But years ago.
How old is it?
Well, this institution started only in 2015, but before that, there was another psychiatric hospital, which was back in the 1950s, I think.
Why there?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
You don't know?
I
I thought you the ombudsman. You never said, okay, how did you guys end up here in the first place?
Right. Well, I mean, the government made a decision to do that. So, but it used to be 50 years ago. Our idea of what proper psychiatric care was pretty limited compared to what we do now. Basically, if we had a patient in psychiatric care and they got enough food to eat and we were able to keep them reasonably clean and they didn't escape, that was success, right?
Yeah.
Now we understand that's not how you treat mental illness. Now we understand you need to engage with the patient and you need to have a multidisciplinary approach, all those sort of things. So, but if you take a group of people who are used to doing the old style, you say, okay, congratulations, tomorrow we're doing everything differently. That's tough. And they didn't have enough clinical psychiatrists to lead that effort. So the staff were kind of left on their own to sort of figure it out, and that wasn't really fair. It didn't set them up to succeed.
Somebody commits suicide there. Is it under the Privacy Act, which can't disclose anything, just like in prison here? Or is it public knowledge?
Well, they're always going to protect the confidentiality of the patients, but what we've done in this report is we've detailed 5 cases, but we've anonymized them. So hopefully you can't even tell whether they were a man or a woman. Now, in some cases, there's a photo of Parsons, so you could probably tell
there
that it was a man.
been suicide there?
No, we don't report on that in this report.
We don't?
No. There is, we do speak of one patient who died in the institution, but
There was one person that died. How she died?
they died as a result of an infection, but our concern is that they didn't receive proper care before
Proper
that.
care, again. So that means Campbellton, where is there, and there's a lot of people from outsiders don't think it's a nice place or should be suitable for them to move their family to.
Maybe. I mean, I've been to Campbellton a few times. I like Campbellton, but
They
I
can't
think.
get professionals.
Well, yeah. If you're talking about people at the very top of their field, okay?
Mhm.
So if they want to move to a place, they want to see an institution that's functioning very well. They want to know that they have these interconnections with other knowledge bases, and they may want. I mean, some people want solitude and clean air, and some people want cultural advantages and nearby big airports and that sort of thing. So there's always a limit on how you can recruit when you place yourself in a smaller center. And I just think it was just really difficult for them to recruit and retain. And because they weren't able to do that, the culture got negative, that makes it harder. The problems just got worse and worse and worse. So now to bring someone in from outside, you're not telling them to come into a success. You're saying, look, we have a real mess here. Can you come in and help turn it around? Some people will be up to that challenge, but some people will say, no, thanks. I can take my qualifications elsewhere.
What did Fleming say about all that?
Well, Fleming's engaged an expert, which, George Weber, who is apparently one of the top guys in the country, to come in from outside, look at the place, evaluate, and provide some guidance and recommendations. So that is, I think people should be somewhat reassured by that, and we'll see what happens now, right? You're bringing in a top person, because I have no clinical expertise. I can't tell them you should be doing this instead of this, right? I didn't study psychiatry, but this guy apparently is a top expert, and he can probably give them a realistic sense of what they should be doing and what they can be doing and what they should be setting aside for now and focusing on this.
I just thought about this. Look.
But 33% of the time there was a dangerous or grave dangerous level of staff on hand.
Yeah.
So by their own internal calculations, at least a third of the time, they can't be sure that people are safe.
Now listen,
Yeah.
media talk to you,
Mm-hmm.
and media use the word editing. I just thought about this.
Editing.
Editing, they edit, right?
Yes.
So what we're going to do, we're going to watch it. This is the first time that I watch it.
Okay.
It's a devastating report outlining the care of 5 patients during their time at the Restigouche Hostipal Centre in Campbellton. Malnutrition, excessive force, lack of hygiene.
Malnutrition, they don't feed them?
One of the patients was admitted eventually to the ICU because he just he'd lost so much weight, he was skin and bones.
Sure, the police been involved in that?
I don't know.
Even in one case, a premature death. Claims that have come to light today after a whistleblower sent a note to the New Brunswick Ombudsman in May of 2017, and his office investigated.
What we observe is that the incident reporting inside the institution isn't accurate and is compromised in serious ways such that I'm not sure Vitalité itself is getting an accurate picture of what's happening there.
Opened in 2015, the $157 million 140-bed facility provides mental health treatment and forensic assessments. Charles Murray says staff, or lack thereof, is the biggest issue. In October, Murray says there was never a surplus of staff on the ground. The hospital only reached a normal staffing level 3% of the time, limited level 24%, minimal level 36%, but 33% of the time there was a dangerous or grave dangerous level of staff on hand.
So by their own internal calculations, at least a third of the time, they can't be sure that people are safe.
Murray's office looked into a case of alleged excessive force. These pictures from the report.
What's that now? You see a bruise around the neck
Yeah.
or a bruise on the chest?
Yeah. This is a patient who was restrained with excessive force, according to our findings.
Once you're behind there, in provincial jail and all that, they can do whatever they want.
Well, no, they can't, and that's the point. But yeah, you're right. Your ability with this population, we always have this question: if we aren't getting complaints, is it because things are okay, or if we aren't getting complaints, is it because the population is not able to contact us and doesn't think it'll make a difference, or is it being denied? All these things, right? The more we looked into this file, the more we came to the conclusion the situation here is not okay. So let's shed some light on it in the hopes that will change something.
Is there somebody that goes in there every month unannounced and say,
No.
check?
No, that's not there's not a regular oversight body.
How come? Money?
It's a good, maybe.
Privacy issue?
No, I don't think so. I mean, they have
I
their,
hate that privacy thing.
well, they have
That's
their,
just to cover the ass of the government. Sorry, Charles.
no, they have their own internal ways of checking this, but
Internal.
they've twice hired external experts, right? Not people like me, people with clinical expertise. They went and they have their degrees in psychiatry, and they've both produced reports that have told them the situation here is that the care is negligent.
Is it like this in every province?
No, it's not.
It's not?
This is a challenging population to serve, and there are always issues with it. But
Money.
the people that we've talked to from outside, and the people that have worked in other institutions say no. This is worse than other institutions by a substantial margin.
Is there some federal money that goes in there?
I don't think there would be directly. I mean, obviously, there's transfer payments that come to the province,
Yeah,
but it's it's a provincially run institution.
And we
That's why
got-
we're able to investigate it, right? If it was federal.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, we got no money.
Well,
But we could give the language commissioner
Okay.
$500,000. Oh, don't answer
Now
that.
you're on your
don't,
own soapbox.
don't answer that.
okay, no, well, let's talk about money for a second. Keeping a patient in this hospital costs about $196,000 per year.
Oh, really?
If we were giving them the proper help and building a proper life plan for them and intervening with them and helping them and giving them support, we might be able to release more of them into a community where they would do well. That would save money. So on that level, it's not about money. But on the second point, these are the most vulnerable people. So if we're not prepared to spend money to protect them and make sure that they're treated and kept safe, we really have to ask ourselves some tough questions about the things that we are prepared to spend money on.
So what you're saying is just like the seniors in a home, trying to keep them in their house as long as they can. And it's cheaper that way than to bring them in a special care home.
This is not a case where doing things the right way should cost more. Doing things the right way should save money, but even if it didn't, we still should be committed to that. If the alternative is to treat people the way they've been treated there, I understand it's a tough situation and that sometimes you have to make tough decisions, but surely this population doesn't deserve to be treated like this.
Report appear to show a patient badly bruised. In another case, the report says a patient landed in the ICU, suffering from malnourishment. And one patient, according to his report, died, although the death wasn't discovered for several hours. There was a much different tone from Vitalité's president when asked if...
Oh, so did they have the French or English?
What, Vitalité's
Yeah.
president? I think he spoke in both languages.
Oh, so that's...
It's a bilingual.
Well, that's how. So what he had to say?
When asked if patients are currently safe...
I thought, no, the reason I said, I thought there was two different departments, the French and English.
Well, there's two different health authorities, right? But they're
Yeah.
both required to provide services in both languages.
So I know, so them there, is it the French?
Because it's in Campbellton, it's managed by Vitalité, which is
The Français.
by Gilles.
Safe at Restigouche.
The short answer is yes.
He says Vitalité knew about and has been working on the issues over the last 2 years. They've already closed 2 units, which equals 40 beds. He says Vitalité is very sad over what's happened.
It's not a unique situation for this kind of clients. So we are sorry about that, but not as individual, as a system. We should be all sorry.
That sounds, you like these interviews with the AD, these ADHD people? Voila. That looks like show gas or a mining disaster. And then they say, we're so sorry. Don't answer that. We're so sorry.
Sorry.
Murray recommends the health network consider closing a number of units and find different use for the space, retrain all existing staff, and consider canceling plans for a youth mental health facility. Plans for that facility are well underway on the same property as Restigouche Hospital. But the millions spent don't matter to this youth advocate.
The argument that it's $13 million already almost spent is a hollow argument in our opinion. It's a small price to pay to make sure that we get the right services that we need for kids in this province.
The health minister confirmed late this afternoon plans for that youth mental health facility.
David Cohen wasn't allowed in there.
I saw that tweet.
Yeah.
I saw that tweet.
What's going on? Fascist? Don't answer that. I have been having my problem with Communications New Brunswick.
Facility could change.
Certainly, it's on the table, no question about it.
He firmly said everyone should expect a delay for the opening. Charles Murray has asked for a response to his report in 90 days. Ted Fleming promised he would have it.
Where was this anyway? Where was this newspaper?
This is the office of the Integrity Commissioner, which is at Edgecombe House, right across from the Legislative Assembly. So they needed the committee room right after our meeting, and we needed to have a place to have a press conference right afterwards, so that was the closest available office.
Oh, where I seen you come out the last time.
That's right, the White House, the White House.
Yeah.
Now, Steve, the province has hired a man from Ottawa to look into what happened and where the province should go from here. Now,
Man from Ottawa.
That's this George Weber, this Dr. Weber, who's their national-wide recognized expert.
Now, Ted Fleming not committing entirely to make that report public, but said there might be some privacy concerns with that. And on that note, Many families in this report note that they are still concerned about the well-being of their loved ones at Restigouche.
There's a lot of problem with I'm having with the families' concern about the loved ones. It's funny, like Ashley Smith. Next thing you know, she was in the jail in Ontario.
Yeah.
But no, they don't have to answer that. But you know, like they didn't know she was there.
Right.
And they said they're concerned, but if they're so concerned, it's just like, for an example, Gilles Leblanc died in a homeless shelter in abandoned home 5 years ago in Moncton. And the family's member Cook, they were saying, "Oh, poor Gilles, poor Gilles." And they say, "Okay, how come nobody stepped forward before?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
yeah.
mental illness, I know myself, my family, living with a person with ADHD it's not easy.
No, and one of the things that happens is you can isolate, you know, yourself, and others can just choose to withdraw from you, right? There's always a stigma, and also people don't know what to do. And then sometimes on your worst day you act out, and then somebody says, well, hey, if that's the way you're going to act, we're done. You know, like, it's just, these are all things that happen.
It's like I always said, in my case, me, don't you love this? Either you love me or you hate my guts.
Like negligent and mistreatment of patients at the Restigouche Hostipal Centre in Campbellton, including at least one case in which lack of care may have contributed to a death. The report says the 140-bed centre, which was only built...
By the way, is this live?
This was live, yeah.
Were you sweating?
I felt like a deer in headlights.
We'll see.
Has
First
become
time I
little
watch
more
it.
than a warehouse for mental health patients.
So
it cites understaffing as one of the main reasons.
But you're sitting here as opposed to a big black camera, right?
Formerly the Ombudsman Charles Murray is joining us tonight.
Oh, yeah.
See the deer in headlights line, right?
Oh, yeah, hold on. We gotta show this.
Yeah. This is a guy with a deer in the headlights look, I think.
Okay. Yeah,
Can you tell I've never done this before?
Oh, hilarious.
That's not a man.
Hilarious.
That's not a relaxed man.
I can't wait to listen to this.
Steve Murphy does this every day, me not so much. Yeah.
Sorry, Charles.
No, but this is, you know, it is funny, but at the same time, this is the things you worry about. You worry that instead of people listening to what you're saying, they're going to spend the whole time going, "Whoa, what's wrong with him?"
And you're on one side.
Right? Yeah. No. Anyways, he does ask some tough questions.
Oh, yes. Based on what you've written, that there were attempts made to cover up what was going on there.
Yeah, okay.
How did you actually become aware of these problems in Campbellton?
It began with an anonymous disclosure in May of 2017, and then combined with some other reports. And the Vitalité organization has actually disclosed well to us, but inside the culture of the facility itself, there is in fact a culture of silence and of collusion to prevent certain reports from getting out.
Hold it. Why the hell did you use the word collusion? You've been watching Donald Trump too much? Collusion.
I know, I don't watch him at all. That's because I think that's the accurate word.
I'm being sarcastic here. You know what I mean?
Obviously, we get anonymous letters all the time. What was it about this particular anonymous letter that struck a chord with you?
Beautiful.
We would normally heavily discount an anonymous letter, but this particular one had details which suggested to us it may have been written by an employee or a former employee, and which gave us a chance to verify specific aspects. And when we did that, we found that what we were being told in that letter was true.
Without asking you who this person is, do you now know who was the author of that anonymous letter?
I do not. That person, if they are an employee, is entitled to protection under the Whistleblower Act.
Right.
So we are maintaining that possibility if they face reprisals coming forward, that they'll have to be able to identify themselves by identifying certain key aspects of the letter.
And you would encourage them to come forward to identify themselves to you?
They made the decision to stay anonymous, and we're doing our very best to respect that decision. We actually have some suspicions about who it is, but we've never asked directly to those people because they made the decision to stay anonymous. We respect that.
Mr. Murray, this is a relatively new building, less than 4 years old. It cost $167 million. It was promised to be a center of excellence. How could it possibly have gone so wrong?
The bricks and mortar are spectacular. The facility is first rate, but there was a failure from the very beginning to adequately staff at the very top with clinical expertise, and that prevented the institution from achieving its goals. And what's happened...
You're right. I went there.
Been there.
My favorite part
Another
is
channel.
the basketball.
Well, I'm sorry, I should have left.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Standards with insufficient staff.
I went there 5 years ago, just, it was in the area. We were
Okay.
in the middle, did a
Yeah.
that you see it was all
Right.
beautiful. Like you
It
said,
is,
the
no,
motor.
it is a spectacular,
That's a good-
spectacular building.
That's a good line, that.
Like, if
Brakes
you-
and motor.
Yeah, and this is part of the thing. If you were to take a tour of the place that they would give you, you could not help but be completely impressed with what's available for the patients there and how it's laid out. It's
By the way, you
spectacular.
got to be bilingual to work there.
I don't believe so, but I really don't know.
It's had to refer to very much subsistence practices, such that basically it clothes and feeds people, but it doesn't provide them with the sort of analysis or services that it was supposed to do.
But all of this begs the question, why? Why has a state-of-the-art facility, a brand new facility, why has that facility not been able to attract the people it needs to deliver the care it was built to deliver?
Hey, I think I asked the same question too.
You did. Yeah, your instincts and Steve. Yeah.
Oh, who needs a journalism
Well,
course?
but no, comme on dit en français, la question se pose. It is an obvious thing to say. Why? Well, why? Like, if you have such a great building, why can't you staff it?
Don't you like that when he smiles like that? That's a smile
That's when
of
you
death.
know he knows. Yeah, I can't see. I don't see that, right? All I see is this big black camera looking at me. So he could be winking at me. I would.
Bring it. We love Steve.
Yeah.
Well,
Which one of these two guys is having a better time right now? Yeah.
Yeah. You
Which of
got
these two guys would you rather
this is right. He's coming for the kill.
Yeah.
You're the deer
be?
with
Yeah,
the
I'm the
headlights.
deer. Yeah. Playing the role of the deer today will be.
I don't know if this camera's gonna. I just hope it keeps on going. But anyway.
I don't have the answer to
Okay.
that. I do know that there have been very sincere efforts made by Vitalite to do so. But at the end of the day, it's a facility with a deeply troubled culture in a fairly remote location. So the challenges with recruitment were there from the beginning, and very sincere efforts have not succeeded in overcoming those challenges.
When you say it is in a fairly remote location, how do you feel about the decision to locate such a facility in such a location in the first place?
I can't compare it to what would have happened if it had been somewhere else, but I certainly know that the choosing to make a center of excellence and seeking to have a pool and a critical mass of psychiatric expertise in a community with a population of less than 7,000, that did
7,000?
stack the deck somewhat against the facility from the get-go.
Do you suspect or believe that politics was involved in the location choice?
Oh, I have no doubt that it was, but it's understandable that governments will want to create anchor employers in locations where otherwise there wouldn't be development. It's just that when you do that, you have to ensure that the patients don't pay the price. In this case, I think they have and are continuing to do so going forward.
And the interesting point that you make in your report is that throwing more money at this problem won't solve it. That effectively makes this an unsolvable problem in your view.
For 2 years now, some very smart and very dedicated people have understood this problem and worked very hard to try to correct it, and their progress has been minimal at best.
If the government follows your recommendation and downsizes the facility, where will the patients who are now being treated there find the treatment they need in New Brunswick?
An extremely difficult question, and one that I warn the government against making snap decisions again on that. The fact is, it's difficult to recruit this kind of expertise.
And to be fair, you had a rough day yesterday.
I had a busy day.
Busy day. All kinds of questions.
Yeah, I understand what you're trying to do there. You're trying to throw me a bone, but
But you're doing
anywhere. And if we are going to talk about transferring patients to another place, we need to have individualized care plans for each of those patients based on their best interest. And in a number of cases, I believe that will require 24/7 one-on-one staff-to-patient care.
You have suggested that there was negligence involved in the treatment of people in the facility, that there may have been negligence involved in a death. Have you found any evidence, Mr. Murray, that might warrant criminal charges against someone for what they did or did not do in the facility?
I'm not a clinician, but an outside expert hired by the Vitalite to investigate concluded that there was negligence in the treatment. And there have in fact been criminal charges resulting from one of the incidents.
What? There was?
Yeah.
Has it been in court yet?
I don't know. I know there were charges laid, but I don't know if
What kind of charge?
I'm assuming an assault charge, but
Male, female?
I mean,
don't matter.
yeah.
I believe there have also been other disciplinary measures taking place inside the College of New Brunswick Physicians and Surgeons. But at the end of the day, that was not the purpose of my report. The purpose of my report was to inform the Assembly this institution is in crisis and urgent measures need to be taken to prevent further incidents of the type that we speak of in our appendices.
And ultimately, who is responsible for all of this, in your view?
Ultimately, we're all responsible, but the Legislative Assembly has got to take charge of this and to ensure that right down the line, through the Minister, through the Health Authority, and through the management and direction of the facility, that there's proper oversight and expertise which is addressing the problem. And one of the things we hope to do today was to shine a light on that in the hopes that this problem cannot be minimized or further ignored.
We appreciate your time. It's a very, very disturbing but a very important piece of work, and we're glad to hear from you on it tonight, sir. Thanks very much.
Thanks for your interest.
The Ombud, formerly the Ombudsman of the province of New Brunswick, Charles Murray, live tonight from CTV.
And then you were so with focus on Steve Murphy, you forgot me.
I know.
You were supposed to. You chose Steve Murphy first before me.
And I wish to apologize again for that. So
it turned out good.
So yesterday I had all the getting ready for this, and then I had the committee, and then I had the press conference, and then I had this thing at 6:15, and I had an interview with Perry Forstall before this one, and we had agreed as soon as I'm done here, I'll come over and we can talk about this.
Yep, we're gonna go in the car. We're gonna go like and dart the street light.
I walked out of that like a zombie. I absolutely flaked. Got in my car and went home and hugged my kids. And about 2 hours? About 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I said
8 o'clock. I'm like, oh no. I do apologize for that.
But
by the time I realized that, I was already in my pajamas and I'd already had my first drink. So.
And you could have come, you could have just put the house coat over. Hey, they would have attracted more attention to talking.
Yeah, but again.
Ombudsman in pajamas.
Yeah, that again, we put the focus in the wrong place.
We're laughing here is not a laughing matter, but it's just the way it was.
Mea culpa.
But this thing, but for the record, this wasn't planned. I wasn't planning to put Steve Murphy on.
Well, that's right. There's your advantage. You could do this to me. You wouldn't have been able to do it. Yeah,
exactly. That was the first time that I watched it. I've been wanting to watch this last night, but I wanted to come fresh. Now, is there anything I forgot or the media forgot that you want to say?
Well, I'll be honest about this. I don't want them to talk to me about this anymore. Now they should be talking to the minister and the Vitalite and say, what are you going to do? Like, I mean, I want to deal with something that you say, which is that, we're useless. I know you're joking partly when you say that.
No, not.
Well, you're partly joking.
No, I mean, what?
But
you're not?
But here's what I would say.
Recommendation. Go ahead.
If there's a fire, the guy who pulls the fire alarm isn't useless. But the focus should be on the fire department, right? Yes. Like in a way, our work here is kind of done. We've told the Legislative Assembly and the people of New Brunswick, this is what's happening in your psychiatric hospital. Now, I can't make them fix that, and if they don't want to fix it, it won't be fixed. So if people reading the report, and I encourage them to go online and look at it, it's not that long to read. Like I don't believe in producing long reports because 200 pages.
Conclusion at the 12 page.
Yeah. It's we make it as tight as we can.
Yes.
If people reading that feel like something needs to be done, and I hope they will, then it's over.
Call your local
yes. Government has to take measures. But, now 90 days from now, we'll put pressure on them to tell us what they're doing. But if 90 days from now their response to us is, well, Charles, we think everything's fine there, it's all tickety-boo, go away, there's nothing I can do to make them fix it.
No, the media is so small in this province, so tiny. Somebody's going to fart next week, and that's going to be news. And then this will be forgotten.
I hope you're wrong, but you may very well be right.
One more point. Shouldn't something like this be done with our provincial jails? Carl Urquhart said that they're not going to send a memo out to the provincial jail to have the prisoners come back here to Fredericton where they were sentenced. They could have a loophole and say, well, we didn't know because there was no memos.
Yeah.
Could something like this be also done with the provincial jail, how people with mental illness are treated and people on social assistance, and
Okay, so let's speak very frankly about this. you compare our office now to 10 years ago. Now we do twice as many complaints with half as much money.
You got to take Bernard Richard for that.
Well,
He put it up to a standard.
yeah. But we do twice as much as they did with half as much money. But the thing that we have not been able to do, Bernard used to bring out 4 or 5 reports a year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We have just not been able to do that.
No.
In order for this report to be done, people in New Brunswick need to know this. In order for this report to be done, some of the staff volunteered their time.
Oh, really?
Like I don't pay them overtime. We don't have a budget for that. They came in on weekends because of their commitment to this issue in order to finish the report. This report only exists because the people that I'm privileged to be part of the team are so committed to this, they were prepared to actually put their own personal time in it to make it happen. But without a budget for that, this is my second time to have done a special report in 5 years. That's
What was the first one?
Watershed classification.
The what? Oh, watershed. Yes, I remember that one.
Right. So, and we've done some interventions on WorkSafe, but those weren't investigations. Those were summary of case files. It's not nearly as much work. In a better world, we'd be able to do at least 1 or 2 of these kind of reports every year. But
Money.
And you got to recognize, when we do these reports, we create a lot of problems for government. So it's very easy for governments to decide, well, you can make do with the money you have, because they know.
Is that why the Auditor General, she don't want more money,
Well,
but they don't want to give because she'll be investigating more.
the more
Icon.
sometimes the more oversight you have, the more problems that you uncover, right? And that's not a happy headline. So there's a balance there, right? New Brunswick doesn't have an infinite amount of money. Everybody understands that, but I mean, I can't say I love doing this report. It's horrible to read, right? But I wish we had the resources to delve into other issues. And there are other issues out there, and you mentioned one. There are a number of others. If the government said to me tomorrow, I'd like to give you some more money to do a report like this, I already would have a list of ones that we'd start.
Because people are dying behind bars, and there's no coroner inquest.
Well, that's a question for the coroner, really. But
there's
yes,
no
I take your point.
investigation.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Yeah, I take your point.
I know that's my future. I'm going to be behind bars, and then they're going to, we have to. You can't have a guy on social assistant like me. Oh, by the way, what do you think of my castle?
What, your castle? Well, I think it...
Don't you love these ADHD interviews?
I think it reflects its king.
That's
my answer to that.
With that will be the final last word. You keep up the fine work. Very good.
I appreciate your support.
And for this, Charles Murray, Charles LeBlanc, 2 Charles. You know what? With Steve Murphy there, you're used to that because you used to be on a radio show with Muff, and you could talk.
It's easier when you're doing the interview than when it's on the other side, because you know what you're going to ask.
Thanks a lot, Charles.
You're welcome.